Hello and welcome to Your Daily Detroit. It is Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. And joining me to my left, Fletcher Sharpe. I feel like we were just here 2 days ago.
Yeah, typically I'm not here this many times in a week, but as we said Monday, this is very unprecedented times for sports in our landscape.
For sure. Studio dog Gabby's happy, though.
Oh, definitely. That's my best friend. So,
So as listeners may be able to figure out, we are unpacking the fact that Detroit City FC is in fact joining the USL Championship. We've learned some more things as time has gone by. The buzz is palpable in the community, not just among soccer fans, but this is something that really started to get coverage across basically every media outlet in town once this broke in throughout this morning.
it's kind of what you expected when Detroit City FC said they were going to move to NISA and be a professional league, and people were kind of like, okay, whatever. I expected a lot of people to be like, oh, wow, we should start covering this more. And like literally no one did, save for like a few more Free Press clicks, a few more Detroit News clicks, and like then they just dropped it. But like now they're going to the USL, and it's like, oh my God, have you seen this news? Have you seen this news? I might even check out a game, get some tickets. And I was like, I mean,
good for you.
Yeah, good for you that you're finally like stepping into it. But like, I don't really see why this changes anything when they were a professional team before, except for the fact that they might face a bit more competition from different places besides California or, you know, the Midwest. But good for you, I guess, anyways.
And welcome. I mean, I'm excited to have more people as part of, frankly, a team that's a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to cover. Let's get into the announcement. To me, a few things were interesting. They took on a new investor. That investor was not named, which is interesting to me, but I'm going to let that ball be for now. I also think it's interesting to see that there's going to need to be some improvements to Keyworth. I will be looking forward to the renderings because if you've been to Keyworth, it is in a part of town where you've kind of got some restrictions as far as like physical space. Like there are houses up against one of the bleacher sections. And it's also a unique thing because, you know, they share that stadium with Hamtramck, but it's very clear that they have a lot of autonomy on what happens at that facility.
The fan bleachers, they can't do much with that. Even if you were to try to tear it down and rebuild it, like it's still going to be the same exact space because there are houses behind that. So unless you want to buy those houses and knock them down, like which they will not do, and I'm sure people would not sell, you're just stuck.
Well, let's talk about those improvements that are needed, though. Like, why do changes need to be made?
So they need more bleachers. They need to have more people to come to games. Just one, for the increased interest, but two, because stadiums in USL need to have a certain amount of seats at least, even if they don't fill them all the way. Two, the field needs to be a bit wider. Not the actual playing field, but like the distance between the fence to the outside lines. For NISA, it seems to be okay. For some U.S. Open Cup matches, it seems to be okay. But I remember when they played for CAS and the fence was literally right on the line, people got hurt. And I think USL is saying we need some more space to make sure people don't get hurt. It's not like immediately right on the line, but it's close enough to where if you're running fast enough, the fence is very unforgiving. It's not going to bend to your will. So if you hit it, you hit it hard, it's going to hurt very much.
And then also some additional facilities for media folks, which is very nice, but also locker rooms, referees, things like that. So there's going to have to be some more facilities built.
Definitely. The USL is very serious about making sure the refs have their own place to be. I'm all for that. Not saying that NISA wasn't, but it's a little bit more lax because they could be lax because there just seem to be very lax people. But the USL is very strict about having changing rooms for the male and female referees, very strict about the guidelines on your stadium construction, and just I'm interested to see exactly how this plays out. Like you said, I'm interested to see the render to see exactly what we might be getting potentially.
Well, I feel like as long as they stick with the mostly historic character of the stadium, I think it's going to be a winner.
Detroit City FC has gotten where they've been by being very consistent. I don't think they're going to be like, guess what? We're putting wings in the stadium. So,
yeah, I don't think it'll look anything like that Columbus Crew stadium that I visited a few weeks ago, which was beautiful, but extremely modern. I think at least it would be my assumption. Whatever improvements they do, I think they would meld into what's happening there because it's a vibe over there.
If it looked at the Columbus Crew Stadium, they would already be in the MLS. That stadium costs like $200 million. So
that's true, but it was a beautiful facility.
Oh, definitely.
Beautiful.
Shouts out to Tyler Phillips, the creative comms person for them. He showed me a few pictures of the stadium there, and Jared showed me a few as well, and it's a very, very well-built stadium.
So we learned more about why this is happening now. With this press conference, ownership meeting, whatever you want to call it, that happened last night, it seems like some of these things were kind of bubbling up behind. I was a little surprised to see how many USL folks actually have ownership stakes in the team. And it seems like this has been bubbling up for a while. And then it seemed like there seemed to have been a catalyst or something where it's like, okay, we need to move on it. And there was a repeated theme in the announcement that we can't wait, especially when you talk about other sports teams saying, well, they're going to do a rebuild, this and that, and it's going to take years. DCFC ownership made a point that when it comes to kids and when it comes to people being fans of the sport, you can't wait. Like 5 years, you're going to lose a lot of people. Waiting for things to develop, you're going to lose people. And there was a sense of urgency with that where it's like, you know what, if we can take this opportunity, let's do it. And it also seemed like Detroit City FC had a lot of leverage because they were able to keep their IP, keep really who they are.
Yeah, kind of to your point, Alex Wright was the owner who said that they cannot wait. They need to keep moving. And he's correct. A lot of media in the city of Detroit are like, we don't need to cover soccer as much. It's not that important. But like the people who do care about it will care about it. But if they're going to try to find a team to cover and the team is not good, give them 2 or 3 years and they'll be out of it. Especially kids. I know kids are fickle. We all were kids. I know I used to like a lot of athletic teams that once they got bad, I just said, nah, I'm okay because I don't want to be associated with a loser. And that's totally fine for children. Totally fine for adults too. But yeah, they realize if we want to keep our audience and keep people in, yes, we have a youth club. Yes, to have kids grow through the youth club. But some kids might not be able to play soccer. Some kids might want to watch and have a team to enjoy. And us moving a step up is going to put more eyes on us. And more eyes on us means more eyes from children on our team who can kind of join in and then grow through our program. To me, that's a great statement that honestly I thought about, but never really put much of a heavy thought into.
So this is a bit of inside baseball, but there's been a lot of smoke on Twitter around the change from going from NISA to USL. For the uninitiated, for people who are more casual fans, why is it that there was just so much pushback that Detroit City FC is basically joining the USL? I think to a casual fan, they're going, well, we're going up a league. Why would we do? Like, of course we would do this.
To put in perspective for how people who think Detroit City FC did the wrong thing, it's kind of like watching Star Wars Episode 6 when Luke Skywalker is fighting against the Sith and taking the rebels back and fighting with Han Solo, and they were doing their best they could. It kind of would be like if Luke Skywalker said, psych, I'm actually a Sith too, and now I'm on the dark side. That's how they feel about it. Detroit was their driving force of, we're independent soccer, we're doing stuff our way, we're grassroots. And while they did not exclusively say that stuff, most of that was said by Northern Guard and some other people, the owners did not shy away from supporting the fans who said it at times. So they felt kind of betrayed when they said, you know what, our fans say they don't like the USL, they don't like this, but we're going to go do it anyways. Some people said that they were like, I have owner shares, why can't I vote? And those are, that's because those are B shares. And while it like entitles you to like vote on a few things, like what's the next big scarf? What food should we serve? It's not going to let you like vote who's our next manager, what league do we play in? Can we sign and cut this guy? From my perspective, I don't understand because I'm all for doing whatever you need to do to survive. And there's some teams that left NISA to leave NISA, and that's totally fine if it's under the pretense of survival. But some of them left after not being good. Perfect example, Oakland Roots had one successful year in their soccer history before this year, and that was their 1 year in NISA they played before they left. But before that, they did amazing things on the field with their kits, amazing things off the field in terms of social justice interaction with the community, engaging with players who live in the community. But on the field, in terms of playing, they were 11 pieces of garbage moving as one. It was startling how great they looked off the field and how awful they looked on the field. So their 1 year that they were actually decent and they bolted was strange to me. I didn't crush them for it, but it was weird. To see Detroit City FC get the same amount of vitriol about that is weird because they've had a chance to win 8 titles. They've won all 8 titles in quick succession. If we were playing in a different country, that's a promotion twice. If we're going by that, they'd be in MLS already. So I don't see why people are now crapping on them except for the fact that they feel like being petty.
There were 2 statements from NISA officials, one that was a train wreck. The other one was really well done. The official statement from the top league was very bitter. And then there was another statement from the NISA Nation guy, which was exactly what they needed to say in this moment.
Those wondering, NISA Nation is the second division of NISA. It is basically the MPSL where DCFC used to be. It's for amateur teams looking to move up. There's a promotion relegation within NISA, and it's from NISA Nation to the League of NISA, which they're hoping to try to get into this season. And I'm not sure what's going to happen next. But as you said, NISA's post read exactly like how Dan Gilbert sounded when LeBron James left for Miami. Sounded very bitter, very much like, well, actually, you're unprofessional. It reminded me a lot of like being broken up with and being like, actually, I'm breaking up with you. You're the bad person. Yeah, I didn't do all these bad things. You did them. And you know what? You're never going to be happy because you're unprofessional and I hate you. I'm like, all right, if you're gonna like text that to somebody, sure. But if that's gonna be your publication, your media's big selling thing, that's terrifying. And it almost looked like that Detroit City FC and Nisa had like a little thing going where it's like Detroit City FC was like, hey, we're getting a little bit of heat. Can you put out some really horrible tweet so that we can have some heat taken off our back? And if I didn't know that Nisa was super upset and really like mad about Detroit City FC leaving, I think, they were like, hey, help us out here for a little bit. Because everyone stopped making fun of Detroit City. Everyone stopped talking about Northern Guard. And everyone collectively in one big group, almost like one big kumbaya circle.
I even saw fans of other clubs go, whoa, whoa, whoa. If this is what's going to happen with Nisa, I'm not sure how we do this, right? Yeah.
Fans of Chattanooga specifically were like, hey, if this is what's going to happen, I hope our ownership's looking to get us out too, because this is like a horrible, horrible, horrible reaction to have. And like you said, the guy for Nisa Nation,
Ron Patel is his name. It was a really great statement. It was professional. It was clear. It was exactly what they needed to do. And it's really a shame that this wasn't the statement, and I'll link to it in the show notes. But it's your standard gracious, like, hey, this is what we're doing. Yes, it's a blow. We're going to build our thing. And it was really professional and really great.
Essentially, he hit the 3 points. This is big news, and it makes us sad. We thank DCFC for the time that they had in our league, and we appreciate what they've done. And looking forward, here's what we have to do for the next season. That's it. That's all you need to say for a note of some team leaving. Honestly, all you need to say is they left. That's all you need to say. Like, you don't need to say anything else. They left. Take it any more if you want, but you don't need to be bitter and petty about it, especially if you are a league trying to be a professional league. If an amateur league did it, I'd say I understand. Professional league, you want to be the professional rubber stamped by the U.S. Soccer Federation, you cannot do stuff like this. That's not okay.
If we're seeing this now, I can only imagine what was happening behind the scenes.
Oh, definitely. Honestly, when they first came out and said we're the whole not paying the refs thing, that's not true. I was like, well, maybe there is some truth what they're saying. Seeing this letter now lets me know like it probably is a lot more true than they want to lead on, because you don't get that mad about your flagship team leaving like this unless like you're seeing the dollars get sucked away from you. Like, you don't get this upset unless you're like, oh wow, them walking away is us literally losing money out of our pockets. I think they're going to be in some dire straits next year. Not as bad as everyone thinks. Everyone thinks they're basically dead now. I don't think they're dead now, but I don't think they're going to be lasting for much longer.
They've got some work to do. All right, in the home stretch, let's talk about the on-the-field situation. We have a bucket of questions. They all kind of coalesce around the same themes. And specifically, what should the on-field expectations be for Detroit City FC's first USL Championship season? And lots of different takes. Should we expect playoffs? Is this a year that we're going to be needing to just have lower expectations? And that was really a theme across a number of questions.
Honestly, if they take the same team they have now and put it in the USL, I think they're probably close to a playoff berth. I don't think they make the playoffs, but I think they're close to a playoff berth. They need to do some retooling.
And that was another question. What kind of changes? Maybe not specific players, but in general. And I would say the first thing from watching this team and then getting to know a little bit of higher league soccer, we need more offensive weapons.
Yeah, my thing would have been more towards the midfield shape, but yes, you need to have goals scored. It's an issue in some other leagues, not Nisa apparently, but it's an issue in other leagues where your leading goal scorer is your center midfielder, and 5 of his 7 goals have come from the penalty kick spot. Typically, you'd not be doing so great, but Detroit, because they have such a stellar defense and a stellar counterattack, are fine. It'd be a bigger issue if your second leading scorer was your first sub off the bench, who's also a wing back, who's not known for like putting the ball in the net, more so putting the ball on someone else's head. Maybe another forward in the free agent market from a team who's maybe been bounced around a bit, who can maybe add a little bit of a change of direction, change of pace up top to go with Yazid and Pato. Maybe another midfielder in the middle who can help control a bit, kind of take the pressure off Maxi and Cyrus. Maybe even an extra defender, so you're not relying really on 3 defenders in Javon Torre, Stephen Carroll, and Matty Lewis in case someone gets hurt. Javon Torre was more of a godsend find after Anthony Manning went down and then was no longer on the roster. So having more depth, which I'm sure you'll see because they'll have a bit more money to add more players and add things of that sort, more depth would be a thing. But honestly, if he just took this team, carbon copy, and just pasted in the league, they'll beat some teams. I don't think they'd beat
500?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. So that means there's going to have to be some changes in this offseason. And on the technical side, I want to talk about this because I think some fans might get lulled into the idea that our goal differential was so high in Nisa, and that kind of might lull you into complacency. But I think the quality of team is a much different case.
Well, I mean, even Alex Wright said, he's like, I was looking up stats, and he's like, I had to keep doing the numbers. He's like, because I couldn't believe in the past 2.5, 3 years, our goal differential was plus 115. Like I did not believe that was correct because that's hard to believe, but it is in fact plus 115. It will not be that in 3 years in USL. If it is, I'll gladly be wrong, but I don't see that being a thing. Currently, right now, I don't think they're better than the top teams in the USL. I don't think they're better than Tampa Bay. I don't think they're better than Phoenix. I don't think they're better than Louisville. I don't think they're better than even El Paso. They need to retool some things. Trevor James has coached in the USL Championship before with Indy 11. So like he understands what it takes. He understands what his players are going to need. He understands exactly the players he's going to need to look for. So I'm not really worried on that front. He's done a great job of scouting already. I'm sure he has a few people that he's been looking to add on at some point, and now this is the time probably to do that. I'm excited to see how the roster shakes out a little bit going forward.
So one of the questions I got a lot about is, can we have some real talk on tickets? Now, the team was very clear that the season tickets for this year, they're not going to change. They range between $150 for a city admission, which is your kind of basic adult, running up through your gold to your VIP, which is $550 for the season. So I went ahead and took it upon myself to benchmark a couple of different teams, one that's more in our Midwest market, one that we're probably going to see a lot of, Indy 11, and then looking at the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Now, none of this has been said by the team, but I went and looked and said, okay, what is kind of the temperature of USL clubs? And specifically, let's start on the high end with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. The best that I could get is the fact that they are right now in the playoffs. And if you want to buy playoff tickets, your price range is going to be between $20 and $76. That's the first thing. The second thing was I went and looked at Indy 11 and what their season ticket packages are, and they range from $187 to $935. So although there's going to be no changes around the season tickets for next year, in my heart of hearts, especially with additional construction, I don't think the tickets will become unapproachable, but I fully expect them to go up.
Like you're not going to be paying the cost for it is for Lions tickets or Pistons tickets.
No.
But like, if you're going to build stuff, you got to get revenue back somehow. So like tickets might go up $5, $10 in a few years. I don't think the fans are going to complain that much because unlike those other teams we've named, they're still getting a good bang for their buck. They're going to get a competitive game for the most part. They're going to get teams that actually, want to compete as opposed to teams that might just get run over and over again.
I mean, 187 versus 150, that's kind of a marginal increase for a season ticket if they were to become parity with Indy 11.
Definitely. I think that's a bit more maybe price of...
And that's for a season, my friend.
Yeah. So like I'm not... Indy 11's been around for a while. I'm sure their prices have hiked up a little bit too. They used to be a pretty decent, pretty good team. Right now they're kind of more middle of the pack. But like, yeah, I'm sure their prices went up from when they used to be not good to being decent. You expect as teams get better, they start to charge a bit more for stuff. People don't really start to care about the charging more until they start losing.
Yeah, and it's nowhere near what MLS tickets were. I mean, my tickets were not great, and it was still like $65 a head. So nowhere near any of that. Like, don't get worried like that. So I could see some increase, but don't be worried for something crazy.
Yeah, definitely not. You're not going to have to sell a kidney or a toe to get a quality seat at Keyworth. I don't think.
And then about the league itself, I would add that Monterey Bay FC is also joining from Seaside, California. That's going to be on the other side of the country. We're not going to play them very often. USL really kind of separates their Eastern and Western conferences. They don't do cross-conference games until the finals, unless it's a friendly. They're going to the Eastern Conference. We don't know what division. When you look at the Eastern Conference, Fletcher, what do you see?
Probably going to be playing against teams in the Midwest a bit more. One of the conferences is more central teams, maybe a few from down south. Other one is like basically New York and like East Coast team. It doesn't make sense for Detroit to be in that conference, to be quite honest. But they'll still be playing those teams, just not nearly as much. Honestly,
this is pure speculation. We don't know until there's a kind of like a board of governors ownership meeting among USL. We don't know where Detroit City FC is going to land. But if we look geographically, we're most likely going to be in the Central. And that most likely would mean some combination of Louisville City FC, Birmingham Legion, Memphis 901, FC Tulsa, OKC Energy, Indy 11, Atlanta United 2, and Sporting KC 2. Just looking geographically, because the other ones, you got Pittsburgh, Charlotte, Tampa Bay, Hartford, Charleston, New York.
And with Indy 11, as I mentioned, that's Trevor James' old team. Louisville City played Detroit City in the U.S. Open Cup a few years back, and Louisville City beat them on penalty kicks 5-3, I think, after a 0-0 tie. So Detroit would be looking to lick their wounds there. I know a lot of Louisville City fans were like, I can't wait to beat them again. Ha, ha, ha. And Memphis 901 might sound a bit familiar because it is currently the team of former head coach Ben Pierman, who left to be the assistant coach for that team. And after some stuff happened with them, he stepped up to be the head coach and led them into the playoffs. So it'll be a nice little chance to get Ben Pierman back to Keyworth Stadium to give him the proper send-off and proper, wave that he deserves. I know Trevor James has done a lot with the team here, but we'd be remiss if we don't remember the stuff that Ben did for them to build them up to where they are now.
There will be some very interesting storylines. Fletcher Sharpe, St. FTW on Twitter, thanks for breaking all of this down with us.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me. And if there's any more news, I'll be sure to find a reason to be back over here.
And that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time here, make sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download shows. Also, we're supported by our members on Patreon at patreon.com/dailydetroit. And thank you. A little programming note that tomorrow is Veterans Day, to honor them and also to follow our tradition of the days off that we get, our federal holidays. There will be no show tomorrow, but we will be back Friday with Devin O'Reilly. All right, with that, I'm Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening. Take care of each other, and I'll see you around Detroit.